Hello! Hey everyone, welcome back to another Let's Binge Loren the Amazon Princess. Last time we left, we were trying to call out the guy making all the orcs kill people, and because we're just top people, we're gonna fight him. Hopefully we don't die. I have a present for you.
So you can keep up next time.
Hooray! Okay, after that super fun grindy fight. The head of the 100th orc flew from its body and into piles forming around them. The party cut its way through too many orcs, and Krull was still nowhere to be found. More orcs charged forward in frustration. Loren simply called out the barbarian's name. Krull! Krull! The approaching orcs slowed and then split away to reveal a path. Krull had heard the call and was responding. Oh my. Those some big abs. A tall, monstrous man showed himself, with a scar over one eye and two massive warhammers in his hands. Dora took a step backwards instinctively. He said nothing for a long moment as his army and Loren's party repositioned themselves defensively. He looked inappropriately amused. You kill many orcs. He doesn't look that barbaric though. Yay! Super amazing fun time. Stuart decides what voice the character should have. Alright, anyway, but what can we say? It's fun. His smile only deepened. Amuki! The gladiator broke from Loren's ranks and walked intimidatingly up to Krull. Even though Amuki was a large man, the other barbarian was much larger. They stared intently at each other, growling with their eyes. And then Amuki spat at Krull's feet. The barbarian coursed with hot rage. He quickly whipped his weapon off his shoulder and impaled them in the ground before him. Amuki did the exact same with his sword. They both proceeded to grunt violently at each other. What in the world are they doing? You are witnessing a primitive ritual of the nomads to arrange duels. Our friend has put Krull's honor to the test, and like all our barbarians, he would not refuse. This will certainly give us an advantage with a one-on-one fight. But that guy is twice the size of ours! You assume that he will rely on his size to win. Let's not be foolish. You can't trust him. Her voice cut through the tension, as if they'd all forgotten she existed. Dora had tucked herself in the very back, if not to be seen. Knowing her story, Sarah knew that Dora was completely right for any reservation she had. I agree. Then let's take him down now. Have you seen the size of the teeth on all of those orcs? That one's looking right at me, licking his chops. Loren grumbled. Amuki returned to the group. The challenge has been accepted. One of us will die at dawn tomorrow. Don't be saying that like you ain't sure you're gonna win. You got us by your side. If he doesn't plan to play by the rules, then neither will we. We'll all make sure that the right person goes down tomorrow. No. Let me fight him. No tricks. The group was silent for a moment from his request, especially Saren. This was not what he had in mind when he asked Amuki to challenge Krull. It was supposed to be a way to get him alone. You think you can definitely win this duel? That hardly seems fair if he gets to kill him by himself. What about me? You must let us fight on our own. Otherwise, we are not men. If you think you can handle him, then we can do the clean way. Is this wise? I lay faith with the greatest warrior Grimar has ever seen. I believe you should too. Saren looked over at the gladiator, and he stuck out his chest. It seems we must. They left for camp. Kroll crept the orcs at bay so that they could feast on them in the morning. They were awoken by shouting. Daughter! Daughter! Saren hopped up and quickly found a distraught Rammus. You have any idea how early it is? Daughter's missing! She's nowhere, I tell you! By then, the entire group had formed around Rammus and began scanning the horizons as if to catch a glimpse of her. You've checked? You think I haven't checked everywhere? When I say she's missing, you better believe she is. Very well, Dwarf. Calm down. We will make sure that she is found. Could she have been kidnapped? No. Ray was hunched against the ground, looking for tracks. She just walked away. If she has gone that way, she is heading for the orcs and Kroll. Saren went quiet. It could not be coincidental. We need to save her. Why? She's about to do something very stupid. Everyone followed Dora's trail, and sure enough, it led right to the orc army in the nearby distance. We will have to look for her some other time. We have a duel to fight. Saren nodded and unsheathed his sword. Hoping Dora was okay for the time being, there was a greater matter at stake. They all found the spot where the two nomads had buried their weapons in the ground, as it was a mark for the dueling location. Ray offered to hide away on a nearby cliff to act as an immediate end to Kroll if the duel went sour. Saren took him up on this, knowing he had an excellent shot. The orc army once again filled the plains, with a few decorated leaders standing next to Kroll, who was waiting impatiently. I am ready. He raised his shield and slammed it with his sword. Loren nodded. Satisfied, he moved to engage Kroll. The orcs and Loren's followers gathered around as both duelists stood by their weapons in the center. Kroll was stoic, but Amuki pulled his sword out of the ground with a challenging glare. Kroll grunted. You act like nomad. You look like nomad. But you're not nomad. Yeah, it's alright. There was a full body reaction in Amuki from the taunt, his face now contorting into bloodlust. You die! With that, Kroll tore his hammers from the ground and rushed towards Amuki. He managed to deflect the massive strike. All watched as the two demonstrated why their people were called barbarians. Even though Kroll demonstrated greater strength and more brutal tactics, Amuki somehow managed to hold his own, proving he had rightfully earned the title of Bear in Grimoire. The battle waged for what seemed like hours, but could have not been longer than a minute. In a heated moment, Amuki used his superior agility to maneuver Kroll to lose his grip of his weapons. It worked, and Kroll's hammers flew from his monstrous hands. He was defenseless. The gladiator raised his sword to take the kill. Kroll roared, causing orcs to break from their ranks to swarm Amuki. Saren's gasp was stuck in his throat at the sight. Then he looked up at the cliff, hoping Ray's hand was steady. Loren had her weapon drawn and charged into the fray. You're dead. Alright! Amuki tried to defend himself, but there were too many. They could not kill an entire army by themselves. Crossbolts pierced the sky, striking attacking orcs. But more just sprang up in their place. You call yourself a warrior! You fight like a coward! Kroll grunted loudly, and the orcs retreated, but their damage had been done. Amuki was bleeding from several wounds, but was still standing. I am great warrior! Best warrior! Orcs know! The entire orc army started to howl menacingly to show their loyalty. The cacophony surrounded them, sending shivers through them. Even Loren. They could not fight their way out if they had decided to attack. The reality of the position that they had was to put themselves... it was suddenly too clear. But the harmonizing the orcs was disrupted by a high-pitched yelp. All of them were silent as one of the orcs in the front lines kneeled over. Dora pulled her knife out of the dead orc with a look that none of them had seen before. It was dark, it was serious, and truly sad. "You ain't a warrior. You ain't." Her voice trembled, and she stepped out of the orc ranks, shedding what must have been an orc disguise. "No more hiding. I ain't gonna hide from you no more! Dora!" The dwarf woman held out her short knife and took staggering steps towards him. The orc started hissing at her, but Kroll gave no orders. "You are puny." "So what?" Dora ran forwards and plunged his knife into Kroll's chest. No one breathed a single breath as Kroll looked down at her weapon impaled in him, and then Dora. He took the knife out of him and tossed it away without blinking an eye. "Run! Leave!" Kroll scooped up Dora before her legs would let her move. She screeched as he lifted her from the ground. "I know you! You smell like Dwarf Village!" He grinned, thinking about Dora's hometown. "I not find you then." "Unhand her, you flea-bitten lard weasel!" Ramus had marched to Dora's rescue, his axe ready. "Ramus, no!" Dora swiped at his face in the distraction, landing only a mild blow. But in the next second, a crossbow bolt whooshed past her and struck Kroll right in the neck. He hollered and dropped Dora. Ramus rushed over and helped her up, and she immediately recovered her knife. The orcs didn't like this turn of events, and started screeching and pawing at the party, itching to kill them. Loren was not pleased either. Take orcs hostage? Nah, this fucker's going down. Loren and Saren ran at Kroll with their weapons ready. The barbarian had gone too far. Doran attempted to stab Kroll as he tried to get the arrow from his neck, and in the next moment, the entire party was on top of him, trying to get a piece of him. The large barbarian hollered in pain and fell to one knee. "You cheat! No honor!" "Silence!" Loren unleashed a final blow, and Kroll was permanently silenced. After Kroll was dealt with, the various orc leaders split off into separate directions, breaking apart the army. They all scampered away, leaving only the dead strewn about in the field. A great sense of accomplishment flooded the group. Horace was now safe again.
"I would say we have achieved the impossible, but we have an even more impossible task ahead of us. This feat will pale in comparison."
General Samael should be notified immediately. Back in the city, the homes that were once burning were now being rebuilt, not only by the help of the Empire soldiers, but by the Elven Rangers as well. Together, the two sides helped fix what the demons had too easily destroyed.
"My men told me that the army had dispersed. I could hardly believe it, but they're gone. Not a one blasted orc to be found."
Don't sound too surprised, General. I said I would deal with it, and I have. I suspect that the Council will recognize this.
"Yes, I will personally vouch for your leadership. I did not think I would say that. Believe you me."
He gave the group an elusive grin.
"There is still much to be done around here. If you could lend a hand or 10, this town would be obliged."
Loren nodded. She directed everyone to help to do what they could in cleaning up the town, healing the wounded, and restoring homes. It was in this time that Saren came to realize Loren's charitable side. It was hard to consider her a selfless person by her serious, even harsh way of speaking and acting, but watching her in action outside of battle showed him that there was a whole side to her that she tried hard to conceal. Being Amazon royalty did come with expectations, he supposed, but it was more than just learning to find the more favorable sides of Loren. She was actually becoming a better person. Even just in the brief time that they had spent together, he saw growth in her, and even in himself, for that matter. But it was Loren who would one day be Amazon Queen, and the leader of the world's greatest army. As far as Saren was concerned, she was born ready. Alright. Well, battle done. That's a big thing out of the way. So, with all that exciting story development, I guess I'll see you all on the next Let's Binge Loren the Amazon Princess. Bye-bye.